Hey everybody, and welcome back to the last video for Chapter 9. This is going to be the 5 factors. We're back here at my little desk that I've created for myself here in the basement. I hope that you have enjoyed our little tour of the house in this series of videos. And I think the dog is, she's pretty much done. She shed it all over me and now she's gone. Okay, so let's look quickly at our 5 factors analysis when it comes to contracts and suppliers and vendors. First of all, merits. How important are the merits? Well, I think in this example, merits of your case are important in the contracts example, because if you have a good, solid contract, then you can win. Coca-Cola bottling is a great example of this. A terrible contract for Coca-Cola, but it's still in effect over 100 years later and made an enormous amount of money for the bottling companies. So the merits of that case, having a well-drafted agreement, served them well. Public legitimacy, of course, is important as well, but not as important. We saw some examples like with Burger King and the HMOs of companies that were able to succeed, but using some public legitimacy. But ultimately, if you have that strong legal contract, public legitimacy doesn't play as big of a role. Resources are normally a very important part of this. The party with the more resources is going to have much more power in the negotiation if a contract goes bad than one that doesn't. But we did see examples where smaller businesses and groups of businesses can band together. We even saw big businesses do this in the Visa and MasterCard case. The large retailers banded together. And so there is power in groups, but resources do matter. Access is a little less important when it comes to the contract. It's more important in some of the examples where we talked about using the regulatory system to define markets, but the contract itself is, access doesn't really help that much. Maybe in the case of like forum selection and those sorts of things where you can get some benefits, but for the most part, the contract is a private agreement and access is not going to help overcome that most of the time. All right, so we are at the end now of Porter's 5 forces. So we're still in the second part of the book, part 2 of the book, but we've now walked our way through all of the 5 forces. So starting with the rivalries in the middle, the threats of substitutes, the threats of new entrants, and now we just talked about suppliers and buyers. But next week, we're going to talk about playing defense. What are some of the defensive strategies associated with your legal strategy? And then after that, there's a short conclusion and then we'll be done with the shell book. So we're almost at the end of it. I hope you're still enjoying it. I love this book. I think it's one of the best business law strategy books I've come across since I've been doing this, and I hope that you're finding it to be interesting as well. Please make sure that you post your questions, thoughts, comments, and examples in the forums. I look forward to discussing it with you there. And thank you for watching, and thank you for going on the short video tour of my house. See you next week for Chapter 10. Thanks.